it's probably long overdue for me to go ahead and do a deck spotlight, kind of talk about the decks I've been playing lately and showcasing the builds I'm using and what I've been having fun with. A large part of the reason that I haven't been doing it lately is because, as many of you know, the meta is, I wouldn't call it stale because I'm still seeing a large abundance of different kinds of decks, but for the most part things have settled down quite a bit, and many of the decks I'm playing are, versions or variations of stuff that's already out there. But I think that with that being said, it's probably important that I still at least share what I've been playing, what's been working for me. So um, I'm apologizing up front because it's probably nothing that is going to be new or riveting, at least for the next couple of deck spotlights. But I'm not going to use the excuse that, well, it's already been done before to, prevent me from talking about it. So this video is going to be focused on Scout, specifically Ramp Scout. This is a tried and true archetype, even from like closed beta, early open beta. It was even played pre-Histgrove, but obviously when Histgrove hit, the deck soared in popularity for a long time. But interestingly enough, after some of the nerfs to agility cards and after the nerfs to Histgrove itself, I've seen a lot less of the deck in terms of like the matchups when I'm playing. So I was a little hesitant to give it a try. I picked it back up again at the end of last season because I was mostly just tired of playing like Ward Sorcerer or Aggro Battle Mage or the combo Battle Mage. Like, I'd been playing a bunch of the same stuff, and even though it had been nerfed, I hadn't seen a lot of it in a while, and I just thought, hey, let's throw together Ramp Scout and give it a go. And surprisingly, it was really effective for me. I think the night that I threw it together on stream, we ended up going like 9-3 with it, and it pushed me from rank 1 into Legend for the end of last season. I've had similar success. I'm at just over a 60% win rate, having played it this season on my climb back to Legend. So even with the nerfs, I think the deck is still viable. And the interesting thing is that even though it's a tried and true archetype, I've had success with different builds. So the core is still the same, right? But the builds themselves are like kind of wildly different in what they do. So I'm going to put up both lists now, and one of the lists is the more traditional list. It's going to have Murkwater Witch, it's going to have Leaf Lurker, a giant snake, things like that. And I think that's the one people are probably most familiar with. I've been having a lot of success with that against mid-range decks or decks with larger bodied creatures. So this season I've been having more success with this because I've seen a spike in Crusader players, and surprisingly enough I've played against a fair amount of mid-range Spellsword again, right? But it's really good against big-bodied threats because of Leaf Lurker being, a hard removal plus a body that can potentially trade into another body. So in like the mid-range or like against other control deck matchups, this one tends to perform better. However, when you look at the other list, that's the list I played at the end of last season when I was seeing far more aggressive decks, and that list is significantly better. So if you're seeing aggressive decks, I highly recommend what I would, I guess refer to as like the Prophecy version, right? That list, no Murkwater Witch, no Leaf Lurker, but you've got Black Sat Protectors, you've got Midnight Sweeps, it's still also running the Werebats, and because it's got, all these additional prophecy cards, and many of them are things that stop attacks, right? They're things with guard. They can really help you survive that early game and get to your late game plan and give you some real value against aggressive decks. So I present both lists because I've had success with both, and I think that their matchups are favored one way or the other, kind of depending on what you see. And if you've played this game at all, you know that nights are streaky, right? Like when I'm playing one night, I'll see the same deck over and over and over again, even if it's different players, or sometimes I queue against the same player 2 or 3 times in a night. So if you're seeing something on the ladder, like, don't hesitate to switch to the other version and kind of like ride that wave. And then if you're playing the next night and you're no longer seeing aggro, then maybe switch to the other version and give it a go. But yeah, I've I've been enjoying it. I think much more than I expected. Maybe because I'm like revisiting it, or just because I haven't seen it in a while. But the archetype is not dead. I think it's still viable and successful. Your bad matchups are aggro decks when you have a poor draw, right? That's kind of what aggro decks do. They punish people's poor draws. So if you can't stabilize and they can rush you down and dodge your guards, you're going to have a bad time. And then the other potential bad matchup is Control Spellsword, largely because they have a lot of hard removal for your big in-game threats. So, you know, Blood Magic Lord still gets taken out by Piercing Javelins and Manticoras and Dawn's Wrath and Edict of Azura. And then now with the nerf to Hissgrove, has to be on the board for at least one turn, so they do have 6 cards typically that they can respond with. They're usually, at least these days, running, you know, all 3 Shadowfen Priests and 2 to 3 Edict of Azuras, so they've got a lot of ways to deal with that. You can sometimes get around it by just waiting to play your Hissgrove, kind of the way you used to, but instead of getting the insta-spawn, like you give them a 1-turn window, but a lot of times, by waiting or holding on to it, they've either spent that card on something else you've played, hopefully, or you can kind of work things in your favor and disrupt their flow. Maybe they wanted to play their own big endgame threat, but because now you've played Hissgrove, they have to play, you know, Edict and then something smaller, and then you can capitalize on that. So while it can be a bad matchup for you, there's not like no hope in those scenarios. It just means you know, have to think a little bit instead of just play guard, play guard, play guard, play guard, play fatty, win, right? Like, it's a little bit more mentally taxing. So, that being said, I'm gonna display some games. Like I always do at the end of these videos, I'm gonna showcase some games with the prophecy list. When you see this, there's actually not going to be like the deck list shown on the right hand side like I normally do for my games, because they're going to be games from like the night I just threw it together. And then when it's the more traditional list, you'll see that shown. So that's kind of how you can know which one was which. But I'm going to feature some games from both types. You know, hopefully this is just a nice reminder that, hey, you know, Scout Ramp is still a thing and it's viable. And I hope you enjoy the games. So enjoy. Alright, we're going second against Battle Mage. Oh, beating mid-range short. I was confused there for a second. I was like, so you built a token list to... Oh, he's clearly aggro.
My Arcase Beard, this day will be mine.
Harvey. Gonna take 5 if I do nothing. I know you guys said I'm not supposed to do that, but I really don't want to get too far behind, I don't think.
Close ranks, let nothing through. Confound you!
The waters of life.
My arrow shall fly true.
Alright, that's a bummer. Those Hissgroves are dead cards. Odaving's a dead card.
If I fall, the Hist will reclaim me.
Confound you! I am a child of darkness.
With Oda in their top 15 cards, man, I hear that. It's either Oda or Red Brahmin whenever I'm playing against Scout. Oh, that's a really clutch cast out.
Chaos take you.
I am a child of darkness.
The forest will not suffer your presence.
Wow. On the one hand, that means I don't have to like give him more runes. On the other hand, that thing is whipping my ass.
Your pain is delicious.
There is plenty for all.
You must be cleansed.
I think I have to do that this turn, as much as I don't want to. I can't afford to keep taking that. He only needs 5 more damage, which he could have out of 2 turns.
The day is mine. I have. By the 8th, they will meet their maker.
Mother of mud, I will protect the hiss.
The forest is my strength and my courage.
Might actually play the Hiss Grows next turn just to get up to Odaving. Well, ain't that shitty. Yep. Yeah, I think I do.
The forest is my strength and my courage.
That says 10, 11, and then I can play Odaving next turn, potentially.
Shame take you.
Oh my god. So much card draw.
Your storm is no match for mine. This should be good.
If I fall,
I will not save you.
If I can get a Drain Life off the Blood Magic Lord, I think I'll be okay. I think that would be enough that I could feel comfortable with going face.
Close ranks. Let nothing through.
Come on, Drain Life! There we go. I still don't have enough for lethal this turn, but I think I still use it just to buffer. That should be it.
Die, turns.
That should be it. Alright, so...
Your blood will feed my magic.
There is plenty for all.
No, your soul.
There we go. I don't think anything in his list ran charge, Jim. That was the only reason that I was okay with that. Let's add Ram Scout. Alright, playing Ram Scout. Going first. Looks fine. First against Crusader, huh? So first against Crusader. We do not know what kind yet, but we do know that he is ranked significantly higher than I. Yeah, paired up to a 1. Am I that far behind the pack? Trick question, of course I am.
What have we here?
It's probably mid-range Crusader.
I will push them back.
Oh. I mean, the correct answer here is definitely Hissgrove because it propels me into any of my 5 drops next turn. I just really would like to play.
My scales
Ungol
move in
here.
shadow.
But that gives us the most flexibility. We can either drop a giant guard, leaf lurker that if we want. I guess it kind of depends on what he does, right?
I will push them back.
Correct play is probably Hist Mage, right? And I say that because then that takes us to 7, which gives us even more flexibility next turn. 7 means another 5 drop, a Shadow Shift, and an Ungolem, potentially.
The Hist provides.
So I think we do that. The double Rifthane opener. Kind of rough. Alright, so kind of a bummer there, but I guess we can save the Leaf Lurker and just Murkwater Witch, right?
The Night Mother will die.
Do we want to Shadow Shift yet? I mean, do I really need to draw the card, or can I save it for shenanigans? I think we save it for shenanigans here. I don't think it's imperative that we cycle, given the hand that we have. And moving something around may be of value later. Wow, okay, maybe I'm wrong. Rifthanes, but he's also running Orb of Vermina. Fair.
For the Black Hand.
I lurk in the shadows, waiting.
Let's see what that gets us. Well, I kind of want to play you to keep ramping it up, but
You must be cleansed.
I don't want him to draw another card. That was already, depending on what he got, potentially dangerous, right? So I expect this to actually get hit with a Belligerent Giant, but we did play it when we did. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. This looks like it's actually control. And the Rifthanes might have meant to have been defensive, you know?
I bow to your victory.
Bounce. Alright. I mean, we had a pretty good turn coming, but that looked like Crusader control. Alright, let's queue it up again. So far, so good. Alright, so Sorcerer. We are going second against Sorcerer. Having an early drop is good. Priest is really good in this matchup because of the silence. If this was a Murkwater Witch instead of an FGR, I would consider the Leaf Lurker. I don't think that we keep it, though. Yeah, I mean that's a better 5-drop to have without having this be Murkwater Witch. The Murkwater Leaf Lurker combo is kind of nice if only because it helps you to bypass wards. But wow, holy 5 drops, Batman. No point in rushing out the old FGR.
A strong arm is what you need.
Alright, looks like this is likely the mid-range item variety. I'm already not worried about that.
If I fall,
I'm not really worried about it, but I think I want to get it off the board. I don't want to set up... This guy's like sneaky good for the item decks because he can set up some pretty amazing tempo plays with like cheapened Maces of Encumbrance.
Friend.
Well, we made it out Wordcrafter anyway, so there's that. I can Werebat, but it really just counteracts the 4. So I actually think we do that. I mean, we're not even in danger of losing a rune unless he plays a card. The biggest problem is falling behind on the board.
Your blood will spill!
Do not test me!
I would protect the Hist.
There's the Murkwire Witch that we would have liked earlier.
The Hist provides.
Let's continue on that strategy. Ramp it up a little bit more. We only lose, we only trade likely with this. I mean, unless he plays, you know, a Firebolt or a weapon or whatever, right? But just strictly looking at board state, he would likely lose this and trade with this, honestly. He's going to do that.
Your blood will
Either way, we still take that. Would have been nice to get the 3 on this for the Murkwater Witch play, but...
Do not test me!
We do get our Preserver active much faster. Alright,
I
so
would protect the
Preserver...
Hist.
Treeminder helps ramp even more. So we would be at 9 the next turn, potentially 10 for 2 5 drops. I think I want the card
My
draw
sword hand itches.
more than the ramp at this point. We'd have considered playing Treeminder over this if we had like a fatty, right? Like if we were trying to get up to Ball Magic Lord or something, but...
Do not test me!
This guy could be annoying with us lacking a Leaf Lurker.
You waste my
Let's
breath.
see if we can draw a trade first, right? And we did not. So the idea behind taking that trade first and drawing is we draw a Leaf Lurker, then we can Murkwater and then Leaf Lurker this. Instead, we're going to have to probably take a different route. Let's do that to hopefully get rid of the ward. Let's do... See, I don't really want to waste the Murkwater. I don't think. Let's do that. Guess let's do that and save it. I could see that going either way. The biggest danger here is, I was gonna say, like any Firebolt play or anything similar, but...
Do not test me!
Let me take out the rubbish.
A strong arm is what you need.
It certainly puts us in a hole, but it's not the end of the world. What's our best plays here? It's probably... Snake, Werebat, Windkeep. Now we could have Murkwater to try to prevent damage, but Murkwater doesn't really trade with anything, where this at least threatens to trade with this guy. But we're not. Yeah, he's got another one. We're not in the best position right now.
Yes.
Just because we ramped up and
I
then
have you now.
had no fatties. There we go. There's a fatty. There's another fatty.
Found you.
So which one is better for us? I mean, I guess I suppose on what we would roll with blood magic. Red Brahmin's the safer choice. And thus I think we're required to do it right now. It just feels really lackluster to play him when you're not like taking more out with it, but if we don't roll, like what are, like Drain Life would suck, right? It would just like be negating this, but then we still net take 7. Raise Dead, if it pulls like a Werebat, honestly doesn't help us. We would need a guard creature. 5/5 guard just kind of gets in the way. Yeah, for all those reasons, I actually think that Red Brahmin's the play here. So I think we lock down this side. And then we do this, right? This sets us up for taking potentially the least amount of damage. Like even if he nukes this, then we only take 4 this way. And if he doesn't have like a nuke spell for this, then these two can potentially trade.
Rubbish.
So we just need him to have a lackluster turn this turn. I almost said that with a straight face. It's mid-ranged value ward sorcerer. Of course he's gonna have an amazing turn.
Hiding will not save you.
Alright, well, either way we're doing this. So now we're in a similar boat, right? Where we need like an amazing Blood Magic Lord pull for him to be worth it. The alternative, though, is a pretty lackluster, like we can Shadowfen Priest this and trade here and then play Tree Minder and hope that this thing can't run over, or hey, there's no removal for the Tree Minder. I think we actually risk it here, though. If only because if it is something kind of lackluster like that, we can, I guess, theoretically still Tree Minder here. Doesn't exactly feel good, though. Or do we just drain... Well, Draining Life gives him a card. Shit.
The waters of life.
That was the worst pull that we could have got there. I still think that we would have been relatively happier with a Raised Dead. Shackle Lane would have been amazing. Even the 5/5 guard would have been decent.
Let me take out the rubbish.
So I was just getting ready to say the big scrum here is we die to like Lightning Bolt, but
Will reclaim me.
now we die to removal and Lightning Bolt, right? Because it's 3 and then whatever. As much as I don't want to give him the card, we're probably going to have to drain life next turn.
I have you.
The value he's gotten from just even the 1 enchanted plate has been kind of a problem. Because realistically, like when you look at
I would protect the
cards, right? Like he's got a handful of cards in his hand
You
still.
best stay on the marked path.
Oh, that was timely. Yeah, that couldn't have went any better for us, could it?
Your storm is no match for mine. Confound you! Your blood will feed
Let's
my
see what that gets us before we just up and drain life. Also, I kind of feel really bad about taking that trade, but I feel like that's mandatory right now as well. Because again, like removal or a silence effect and blah blah
Surrender or die.
The Drain Life is going to give him a rune either way. So if we're gonna give him a rune, I guess we're okay swinging with the snake there. Yeah. We were in fact a little worried about that. I wonder if he just did the one to not give us a rune proc and thus is now hoping to then double lightning bolt me again next turn, but he's already played 2 so he can't. Interesting. I wonder why he did that. That felt very defeatist. I don't want to give him any more cards this turn because we're going to just try to alpha strike him next turn, right? So I think that we just guard up.
The hiss.
Guard up and pass. I'm even half tempted to play a priest, but if he plays a guard, I want to be able to punch through it, I guess.
My fight is done.
Yeah, there we go. It was really hairy there, but